We have more track tonight, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday as well. Go up to Dwight and Dan in the booth, and I'll just let you know the Cavs are up 6 at halftime.
All right, John, the only track final of the night, the men's 10,000 meters, is on the track. 24 athletes who've qualified here from 2 regionals. And one of the Alabama athletes a little frisky to get started. The start very important in the 10,000, of course. So we're looking at Rory Linkletter of BYU. He's in position number 21, second at this meet last year, 39th at the NCAA cross-country meet, and 6th at the 5,000 meters indoors. We'll try to pick some of these athletes up as they get going. Matthew Baxter of Northern Arizona, they've got that tough cross-country team. They won the team title. He's from New Zealand, and he was 7th at this meet last year, as we show you the 24 gentlemen who are running this final.
Baxter, from NAU was the Big Sky outdoor silver medalist in the 5K and the indoor 3K.
And then his teammate Tyler Day, Baxter's teammate Tyler Day from the Lumberjacks of Northern Arizona, 3rd at the NCAA cross country championships. And Alabama with 3 Kenyans.
Right to the front, Vincent Kiprop, Gilbert Keegan, and Alfred Chalanga. And you expect a lot of team racing here at this 10,000 meters. We'll see the BYU athletes all try to get together. We'll see the NAU athletes stick together, but probably none working together as well as the athletes from Alabama.
That's one of the reasons why Alabama won that SEC team title, is because of these distance runners indoors. And they are pushing the pace very early on. I would assume that it's going to slow down a little bit, but they are on about 27:30 pace at this point.
Well, and we've seen this in championship running in the past. And, it's sometimes an opportunity to break the rest of the field. If you can put 100 meters, 150 meters on the field, it makes it very, very difficult for anybody to come back and challenge you, even though we still have 23 laps to go.
You'll see these same 3 athletes in the 5,000 meters on Friday. And, of course, with 3 of them in there, they can take turns leading the rest of the field, who at this point is in no big hurry to try and close the gap. So they are running sub 65-second 400-meter laps at this point. Conditions are pretty darn good for a 10,000-meter race. Not a whole lot of breeze, and the temperature clearly dropping.
Well, in sub 65-second quarter laps is 4:16 in the mile, 13:20 for 5K. Just do the math there. And it's interesting to see teammates work together. They'll switch. One will take the lead, the 2 will back off, but they continue to put just a couple of meters every 200 meters on the field here.
My handy dandy phone says it is 70 degrees out there right now. And a little bit of breeze. You can see the flags flying. Humidity's going up. It was around 38%. Now it's up close to 60%. But guess how hot it is in Austin this week and weekend? It's all up in the upper 90s, and that's where the meet is going to be the next 2 years, as Hayward Field is renovated to host the World Championships of Track and Field in 2021. As we take a look at Tyler Day, the Northern Arizona sophomore, he is, as I mentioned earlier, 3rd in the NCAA cross country. Sophomore feels pretty lucky to be training in Flagstaff, Arizona, where the culture and the environment are contributing to his success.
I mean, it must be something in the air in Flagstaff, or the lack of it. I mean, we train at 7,000 feet, and it's even the locals in the town are all very active too, very outdoorsy, and so like they can tell who's on the team because they always follow us pretty closely. Not stalker type though, but no, yeah, I mean the coaching staff there is great. The facilities there, I would feel like it's world class, and just being part of a community that accepts the distance running culture has been very, very awesome. So I feel like it's like, you know, the elevation helps and the support system there help. And so just being surrounded by a group of guys that just enjoy distance running but also enjoys each other's company, it's super rewarding. Like I feel just super spoiled just being part of this group.
So now they have closed that gap, including Tyler Day. He's now the first non-Alabama runner in this 10,000 meters. So I'm really not certain what those guys were doing in the beginning, but now they've slowed it down, and the rest of the group is, for the most part, caught up with it. So we're used to, in years past, the last 4 years as a matter of fact, seen one King Ches, Edward Cheserek, out here in this 10,000 meters for Oregon. Alabama continuing to set the pace, and everyone else simply happy to follow it. Tyler Day right there in fourth. It's Jacob Thompson of Kentucky that's in fifth place. And Northern Arizona's Matthew Baxter is also right there. So the main players are all here with about 20 laps to go, and we're going to step aside for a moment and get you caught up on some field events. The men's hammer. So add throws to the SEC as dominance, along with sprints, hurdles, relays, and coming middle distance. So a little bit of an update. Alabama still out there with their trio leading, and then Northern Arizona in places 4 and 6, and Jacob Thompson of Kentucky tucked in there in fifth place with a little more than 18 laps remaining. So we will take a break from here at Hayward Field and bring you the conclusion of the men's 10,000 meters on the other side. So back at Hayward Field in the middle of the men's 10,000 meters, a little more than 16 laps remaining, so not at the halfway point. And we have had a change in leadership. That is Tyler Day of Northern Arizona, who is leading, but a lot of racing left to go in these great conditions, 70 degrees. His teammate, Matthew Baxter of New Zealand and Northern Arizona, right up there with him. And the Alabama athletes now back in third, fifth, and seventh. So that updates you on the 10,000 meters as we can get it together, and we all know that he can, but really struggling getting on the board and getting his technique together. Florida obviously counting on those points from both Bates and Holloway as we get back to the 10,000 meters. 14 laps now remaining. And the Alabama trio had gone out very quickly, and then they slowed way down. Now that Tyler Day has gotten into the lead, we're getting back under 70 seconds for laps. Much more honest pace. You can see this field pretty well strung out. The top 12 or so are right there almost in single file line, with the two lumberjacks up front. Sophomore Tyler Day, who was third in the NCAA cross-country championships last fall for the champion Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. And then Matthew Baxter of New Zealand, who was seventh in those, or I should say, yes, seventh in those championships, second part. So they went second and third in the cross-country championships. And they are not doubling back in the 5,000, just running this 10,000. All three Alabama athletes will be doubling back in the 5,000 meters. And the other runner in that group that we have not mentioned, Ben Flanagan, the Michigan senior, is right in there, currently in fourth position. So when we get to the 200-meter mark, we'll have this race half in the books. And there's even less breeze now than there was when they started, so the condition's pretty darn good. The west stands shadows are almost to the backstretch. And the temperature just getting right around 70 degrees, maybe 69 degrees. So about as good as it gets for 10,000 meter running.
So if there is any wind, the leaders right now are experiencing right there in that first 50 meters as if you were starting at 200 meters is really the only place these athletes are dealing with any wind. 14:15 at the 5K.
And right now it's 1-2 for Northern Arizona, with Matthew Baxter now taking the lead, relieving Tyler Day of that obligation, pushing that wind aside a bit. So with 12 laps remaining, we will step aside once again, take a little bit of a break, come back on the other side with the conclusion of this 10,000 meters. Final. All right, that catches you up. Some great action we have had earlier in the day on the track. This is back to the only track final we have today, 10,000 meters, and they are coming around, are the North Arizona University Lumberjacks. They are coming around with just 8 laps remaining, 2 miles remaining. And not a whole lot has changed. The 3 Alabama runners all still up in the top 10. Jacob Thompson of Kentucky is also there.
Ben Flanagan from Michigan's moved up to fourth position. He was your 2-time Big Ten 10,000 meter champion, and he's moving up to challenge just a little bit.
Now let me remind you, the 2 Northern Arizona athletes are not doubling back in the 5,000 meters, so no reason whatsoever to hold anything back here. All 3 Alabama runners will be doubling back, as will Connor McMillan of BYU, who is up in that lead group. Ben Flanagan also not doubling. There is McMillan. He'll be doubling back in the 5,000 meters on Friday. And they are starting to lap runners. But we're probably going to still go another 5 or 6 laps until we see some real running, some real sprinting going.
Well, I loved what Tyler Day said about just being in Flagstaff, having great coaching staff and being up there. But on any given day up in Flagstaff, you'll see a dozen world-class athletes. You know, just recently it was Shelby Houlihan who was visiting Flagstaff, and she has a spectacular race here at the Prefontaine meet, winning the women's mile. But all these great athletes are going up to Flagstaff to train at high altitude, and then they come back and they run these fantastic times down here where they can breathe just a little bit better.
So Tyler Day rolling around with about 69-second laps, which is getting around 28:20 for the distance. So we will step aside for the final time in this 10,000 meters, and I promise when we come back this time we will show you the conclusion of this race. As well as a lifetime best for the Grenadan freshman. Getting a little bit of lessons from Lyndon Victor down there in Grenada. Okay, back to the 10,000 meters with less than 3 laps remaining, and we're back to Alabama trying to call the ball here. Vincent Kiprop, who's going to be also doubling back in the 5,000 meter, has the number 4 time in the country this year at 28:19:07, which is right around what they're running right now. Alabama looking to get some big points here, and they're starting to bunch up a little bit here. They're also lapping runners, so it's Kiprop, and then for Michigan that is Ben Flanagan. Jacob Thompson of Kentucky there with the blonde hair is still right in this thing, as is Matthew Baxter of Northern Arizona and New Zealand. So a group of 6 with just 2 laps remaining. And the man added to that is now Dylan Maggard of Utah State. He is also going to be doubling back in the 5,000 on Friday evening. So those are the top 6. I don't see anybody else breaking into it. Alabama's other 2 runners have been dropped. Gilbert Keegan is currently in 8th, so he's in the final scoring position for the Crimson Tide. But Alfred Chalanga not going to be scoring. So now it's going to be who has the wheels over the last 400 meters plus. So that is Dylan Maggard starting to make a move on the outside. And comes up on the shoulder of Vincent Kiprop. And these lapped runners are going to be strategically dealt with as Maggard goes into the race right around one of those lapped runners. There goes Flanagan to cover the move. Kiprop still in position, but does not have it didn't look like he had the gear to change, but he did.
Well, so Maggard, more of a natural miler. He was 12th at the indoor NCAA mile, so you know he's got some speed to burn here.
Kiprop now in a full sprint. Flanagan covers the move. They're starting to drop Maggard. Kiprop, who won the conference meet a couple of weeks ago in Knoxville, is all out. Does Flanagan have something left in the tank? Does he have another gear? Maggard's going to settle for third. But can Flanagan catch Kiprop? Here comes Flanagan. It's always better to be the hunter, and he proves it once again. Ben Flanagan with a crazy sprint down the last 100 meters becomes the NCAA champion in the 10,000 in his senior year. 57 seconds for his final 400 meters, and he steals it from Vincent Kiprop of Alabama.
Every day. I love the boys back in Woodlawn. I love my teammates. I love Sully. Thank you.
Well, all the racing seemed to come down to that last 400 meters, really 300 meters. It's Vincent Kiprop really made the move then.
Well, it looked like Maggard was going to try to run away from these guys, but Kiprop just put the hammer down. But you know, Ben Flanagan, he didn't go anywhere, and he didn't try to get it back all at once. He waited and waited, and in the last 100 meters, he went to the arms, and you could just see the more intense turnover, the better rhythm. He just, 5 meters out, he's celebrating. Oh my gosh, he comes in here running 29:33, and he runs almost a minute faster for the NCAA title.
Well, a very surprised, seemingly, and happy 10,000 meter runner is down on the infield with John.
Thank you, Dwight. Yeah, with Ben Flanagan. So you told me coming in, you thought you had a shot, and yet the reaction was a guy that looked like he just pulled the upset of his life.
Yeah, I don't know. I just coming in this race, I was like, I think I can win, but I don't know if anyone else does. So the day of this race, I talked to Sully. I looked at him. I was like, Sully, you know, if everything was, I think I can win. And he goes, if you make the right decisions, you're gonna win today. And that's all I needed to hear. And then the whole race, I just had that replaying in my mind.
Well, yeah, as long as you're the only guy that thinks you can win, that's the one guy that needs to know.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the key decision then in those last 28 minutes that you found pushed you through?
To stay as patient as possible the entire race. That took me 5 years to learn. There's so many races where I made an early move and it just cost me. And you know, I've learned from my teammates, like inspirations, Jamie Fallon, Mason Furlick, they show that you show up at this meet and you can do it. And I just look up to those athletes, my teammates. Sully's won multiple titles, and it was like, I can do this. And it was just about believing in myself.
Ben Flanagan, you win the national championship in one day, but then the title sticks with you forever. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. I can't believe it. Thank you.
Dwight, back to you.
Yeah, John, that's what the meet is all about. I went back to school to win this meet. As we look at the final results, Ben Flanagan and Sully, that's a reference to Kevin Sullivan, the great Michigan athlete running for Canada. He was a great miler, now coaching at his alma mater, and he really, really helped this young man be the first champion